What do you understand by the concept of a real politic? And do you think that it is a good concept? The entire alphabet list, you have to choose one letter, just one letter.
Mhm.
And if I give you three clues to that letter,
Okay.
okay, and just choose one letter within 1 second,
Okay.
okay? The letter must fly, the letter must sing, and the letter must sting. What letter am I talking about?
Mhm.
For aware that Rajasthan is facing an issue of child marriage. You want to reform the society. Now you are advocating gradual reform and not radical. Even if you see somewhere a child is getting married to someone, you just advise them and you wait for them to respond to it. You
Uh,
won't force them to change. You were introduced in the talk show as India's official representative because of your office that you're occupying.
mhm.
Now the Chinese government is asking you to apologize, rather India to apologize, because
Right.
you have attended. The Indian government has passed the ball in your court. It says that do what you deem fit. Suppose you have to write a written reply,
Mhm.
or you have to give a written reply rather, what that letter would be. Just write one paragraph. Ambica,
Yes, sir.
are you guys?
Yes, sir.
Ambica, the distance is safe. You can take off the mask for clarity of expression.
Thank you, sir.
Define your personality in terms of values and behavior.
Yes, sir. Sir, I think to define myself briefly, in terms of values, I think I am determined, honest, sincere, and hardworking.
You have value which you are not forcing under any given circumstance.
So I think the value of not giving up my values is something that I'll never forsake. I think I think I'll, in any position that I serve, maybe civil services or any position, I think I want to stick to my values and never compromise on them. Adherence is the one value.
Have you heard about this cost benefit approaching life?
Yes, sir.
Highlight the limitations of the cost benefit approach.
So the limitations. So first, I'll briefly define how I understand cost-benefit approach. I think cost-benefit approach looks at life in terms of gains and losses. So if you look at life as what am I gaining, what am I gaining, and what am I losing. So when you look at life in this simplistic manner, you lose the beauty of the life, because I don't think life is very simplistic. That there's never a pure or clear gains or losses. So it's always a mixture of losses and gains. So I think a cost benefit analysis reduces the life, the understanding of the life. I think it's a reductionist understanding of the life.
The cost benefit approach, it promotes objectivity or it is a hurdle in the path of objectivity.
I think the intention of cost benefit approach, as per my understanding, is a way to attain objectivity. I think by getting a clarity of what you're gaining and losing, I think you're trying to bring objectivity in the life.
As a civil servant, you should be more objective than subjective or more subjective than objective.
So I think it has to be the combination of both.
More often than not,
Yes, sir.
more often than not, you should prefer what?
Okay, I think objective, so far as the objectives are fairer, and subjective when the rules or laws are insufficient. I think that's where subjectivity comes.
Can you highlight an incident from your life where you have exhibited objectivity?
Objectivity, I cannot think of it as, I might take some time to think. Okay. I think while making decisions, like say, I'm not able to recall anyone. So maybe I'll take time.
Ambica, your optional subject, as your DAF reflects, is political science and international relations.
Yes,
And you have also completed your post-graduation in international relations.
Yes,
Ambica, what do you understand by the concept of a real politic? And do you think that it is a good concept in political relations, international relations?
So realpolitik in the terms of international relations is a concept of realism. So real politics takes into account the behavior of the state and the reality. So realism as a theory deals with states. We don't go for idealist concepts, but we take states on the face value. So real politics in that way does so it considers world as a self-help group. There's a security dilemma in the world, and you accordingly your interaction with the state is accordingly shaped. So, for example, you don't have any idealistic concept or idealistic notion when you deal with the state. So, real politics deals about pragmatism. It deals with the state on the face value.
Can you highlight at least two decisions taken by India in the recent past which reflects this ideology of realism?
Realism, right? So I think I'll think on it. I think the recent India's voting at regarding India's abstaining at UNSC when it comes to sanctions on Russia. I think India abstained because the decision was very pragmatic, because our energy interests and our defense interests are very much tied with Russia. So it's somewhere criticized as a stand contrary to our moral stand, which usually we support national self-determination, sovereignty. I think this was a example of realism displayed.
Ambica, have you heard about this term called guided democracy? What do you understand by this term?
I'm not sure about the term, sir.
Would you like to take an intelligent guess on this?
Probably yes.
Go on.
So guided democracies are not democracies in truest sense. I'm just taking a guess of it. I think they are somewhere. They're not democracy. They are democracies in the name, but their functioning are not really democratic, or not truly democratic.
Can you highlight, if suppose that is the definition of guided democracy? Can you highlight some guided democracies in the real world?
So I think, sir, recently I think VDIM report had come. I think they had they have categorized democracies in different forms. I think Iran, if I can say, has democratic setup. However, there you have influence of Ayatollah's rule. So I think somewhere it is guided democracy.
What kind of democratic setup Iran has?
It has I think prime minister form of government.
Or presidential form of government?
Sorry, presidential form.
Are you sure about it?
I'm not really sure.
Okay. What is the role of Ayatollahs in Iran?
So Ayatollah is a religious head. So in 1979, when Iran underwent revolution, or the Islamic revolution, that is when the theocracy replaced. So it is a theocratic state, yet it has a democratic setup. I mean, the heads are theocratic. So Ayatollah is a religious head.
Is it a republic?
It has a president, so I think I'm guessing.
What is the official name of it?
Republic of
Ambica, what is the primary difference between authoritarianism and totalitarianism?
Right. So totalitarianism, authoritarianism, both are very. So totalitarianism is also a form of authoritarianism, but the degree varies. So authoritarianism is when state controls, the state has total authority. So that is when we call a state as authoritarian. But a totalitarian state is it's a degree more, the authority is more greater. So totalitarian state controls not just the political sphere, it also controls every walk of life. So it controls the personal choices that people make. So totalitarianism, as the name indicates, itself controls in toto every walk of life. So it interferes in religious matters, it interferes.
What are three important types of political theories?
Liberalism, feminism, if I can go use critical theory, constructivism.
Heard about contemporary political theories?
Yes, sir.
Can you highlight any one contemporary political theory of the 21st century?
Postmodernism, sir.
Ambica, I was going through your positions of distinction leadership held in school and college,
Yes, sir.
and find that you have participated in a regional workshop on shared waterscapes of South Asia, organized by South Asian University
Yes, sir.
and Dhaka University. It's one more body yellow.
Internet.
And you were elected as coordinator for cultural committee.
Yes, sir.
As the coordinator for the cultural committee, what steps you took?
Okay, so because I was part of South Asian University, which itself is very diverse in cultures. So I think we had people who used to play rabab from Afghanistan. We had people who used to play sarod from India. I think it was a very interesting space as such, because that's a place where you see people from different cultures coming together. So I think it was a great chance to be part of the cultural committee, and I organized a couple of events there, so that naming them as Talentia, that is the title of it. So we kind of try to explore the different cultures that we have. So I think we also encouraged people to come and participate. So I think this was one thing, and along with it, we also, I think, culture committee was active in organizing the college fest.
So how you ended up in that office? Were you elected?
Yes, sir. So we had elections there.
Okay. And what was the franchise? I mean, who participated?
So I think I was anonymously elected.
Okay, you were unanimously elected.
Anonymous.
So there was no opposition.
No opposition.
Do you celebrate that kind of a situation where there is no opposition?
Not really, sir. I think opposition makes one's candidature more stronger, and I think it increases the credibility of the candidate. I wish I had an opposition.
You also won first position in spur of the moment extempore and heuristics competition.
Yes, sir.
If I give you a topic now, can you speak on it?
I'll try.
Immediately?
Yes.
Okay, speak on social network.
Social networking. Can I take a moment to think? Social networking. So, social networking, to define, is a way of connecting with people. It can be it is establishing human contacts. So it can be physical or virtual. So I think in the 21st century, when we are witnessing social media and platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Spaces and Clubhouse emerging, I think social networking has become more rampant, and it has crossed boundaries. So today we see social networking not just limited to your nearby spaces, but also a phenomena that has become very common in the global world. However, there's a problem with this kind of virtual social networking, because I think the virtual social networking has somewhere undermined the physical social networking that we have. I think the kind of relations we share in person physically has been seeing some sorts of disruption because of virtual social networking. I think social networking is important because that makes humans more social, because as man is called a social animal, or humans, if I can correct it, are called as social animals. I think what makes us humans is our ability to connect with people, and that is why social networking becomes important. And our efforts should be in a way to balance our physical and virtual social networking.
Ambica, you have captained the women cricket team and led it to the silver medal position in South Sports Fest in 2018-19. So, who were your opponents?
We had, there was a biology department. So it was a interdepartment competition. So we have.
So it's an intra-university kind
Yes,
of competition. Okay. So apart from being the captain, what was your primary role in the team?
So I was a bowler.
You were a bowler. And what kind of bowling? Fast bowling, spin, medium pace?
Not a really fast bowler, but I would consider as a fast bowler.
And what kind of bowler? Swing bowler, spin bowler?
In swings.
In swinger. So what kind of balls you used? Like, was it a seasoned ball, actual cricket ball, or tennis ball?
So it was actually a tennis ball.
Tennis ball.
Because there was a low participation.
Okay. Are you following the ongoing Women's World Cup?
Yes, sir.
As we speak now, who is the leading run scorer?
The player, I'm not sure of the recent developments, but
Where is India placed?
India
Points table?
India is in the 5th position, sir. Unfortunately, we got disqualified from, so we couldn't get the seat in the semi-finals. Yesterday's match, India lost the match against South Africa.
Any important event which was responsible?
I
For
think,
the
sir,
loss?
the no ball. I think the last over was very crucial. Had it not been the no ball, we would have made.
Can you name 6 Indian players from the current Indian women's team?
Women's team, sir.
And also highlight their roles.
Okay, so starting with our captain, Mithali Raj. I think she's a great batsman. And then Harmanpreet Kaur, if I'm pronouncing her.
She's a batsman. Mithali Raj.
She's all-rounder. And then Harmanpreet Kaur, she's a batsman.
She's a batsman.
Yes. And then Smriti Mandhana, Deepti Sharma.
What is the rule of Smriti Mandhana?
So Smriti Mandhana is a batsman.
She's also a batsman. Are you sure?
Yes, sir.
Go on.
And then I'm a little bad with names. Deepti Sharma, I mentioned her. Julian Goswami, she's a bowler and she has record.
You also like learning new languages.
Yes.
So, which is the latest language that you learn?
So actually, I'm learning Spanish.
Okay.
I'm in the process of learning Spanish. So I'm using this app called Duolingo to learn the language.
What Spain is called as Espanol?
Espanol. I'm not sure. I think that is how it's pronounced in Spanish.
Why is it called? Like Bharat is called Bharat because there's a reason. Yeah. Why Spain is called as Espanol?
I have no idea.
One last question from my side.
Yes.
You like movies and TV series?
Yes,
What
sir.
was the last TV series that you watched?
Sir, I'm actually watching Big Bang.
Big Bang.
Yes.
Okay. And it is what kind of a series? Is it a satire?
So it's a humor genre, and it has elements of science in it. So it's like a mixture of humor and science.
What existed before the Big Bang explosion?
So the Big Bang explosion happens with so there was a dense, tiny
No,
particle.
I'm asking what existed before that explosion.
I have no idea.
Was there only one such explosion or several such explosions?
So Big Bang theory talks about one explosion, maybe.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ambica,
Yes, sir.
why do you spell your name with C and not K?
I think that's my family has put the name. So I asked my father, and he said that it stands out. So I think, and the pronunciation becomes more accurate with C than K, I believe.
Okay, what is the meaning of the name Ambica?
So Ambica means mother goddess. It is also another name of Parvati or goddess Parvati.
Have you heard of Amba, Ambica, Ambalika?
Yes, sir. They are the 3 persons in the mythology Mahabharata. So the story I know is that Bhishma Pitama, he goes for the Swayamvara where Amba, Ambalika are the 3 people so he wins the Swayamvara and get them to the place. So Ambika is, I think, a mother of Dhritarashtra. Wait. Dhritarashtra.
Are you sure?
So Pandava, I think Panduraj was the son of Ambalika. I think Dhritarashtra.
Okay, don't get confused, don't worry. Your date of birth is 14th of August.
Yes, sir.
Good. A Leo.
Yes.
What is 14th of August celebrated in India and what is so special about this?
So 14th August is when Pakistan got its independence, and we remember it as a partition remembrance day since last year.
What was the full term given to that day?
I'm not sure of the full term, but I think it's in the line of remembering the partition. I'm not sure of the names.
Okay. And what is your mother tongue?
So my mother tongue is actually Marwari.
And Marwari does not exist in that list.
I think it has only scheduled language. It wasn't there in the list, so it has been mentioned as others.
Okay. You say that you are fond of cricket, both solving Wordle.
Yes, sir.
Tell me something about Wordle.
So Wordle is a very recent phenomena. I think it started in around October 2021. So this was actually started by Josh Wardle. And so so he started it for his fiance. However, it later got popularized, and Twitter became a platform through which people started posting their Wordle. And the uniqueness about Wordle is you only solve it once, and it's fun. Plus, it also provokes you. I think it's a way to test your vocabulary. I think.
Okay, there are three colors used in. Are you aware of that?
The Wordle.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So
What are the three colors and what are the significance?
yellow, green, and black or white, the way you use the template. So when you solve the word, so when you guess a word, and when you guess the right letter, but the position of it is wrong, then the letter is indicated through yellow color. But when you guess the letter rightly and the position is also right, then it is shown in a green color. When you guess the letter wrongly, I mean, if the word doesn't exist in the word, if the letter doesn't exist in the word, it doesn't. It is in the, because I use the night template, so I think it's in the dark color.
Otherwise, it's supposed to be gray.
Green.
Good. You talked about on the spot movement externally
Yes, sir.
and heuristics. What made you so fond of this heuristics?
I think, sir, heuristics was a way. So this competition of heuristics dealt with you are given a problem and you're given a time of half an hour, and where you have to, as a team, you have to work and arrive at a solution. I think that is somewhere you also see your role as a problem solver. I think heuristics is things you do
It is
solve.
about using solving problem, but with do you use an algorithm for that or do you use something else?
So this was regarding a social problem. So I think this was purely a social issue based problem.
Agreed. When you are solving issues, do you use an algorithm for solving those issues or do you use something else apart from an algorithm?
I think I don't use algorithm. I think we use we weigh the issue and we also see what could be the best possible solution. So I think instead of algorithm, it is more humane approach to solving the problem.
Will you call it human or will you call it common sense?
Common sense with human approach.
What does humanity come into this thing?
I think so when we become too objective or when we remove the humanistic aspect in it, the problem might not actually solve. The solution that we're offering might not really produce that impact. I think we need, as a problem solver, we always have to have the humanistic approach, I believe.
So tell me, what is more important, creativity or knowledge?
I think both, sir.
If I ask you one,
Okay.
one amongst the two.
So creativity.
Why?
So I think having mere knowledge would never help you to solve anything. I think creativity helps you to think out of the box. It helps you to give different solutions to the problem. So I think creativity makes knowledge more useful.
Supposing you want to ask you a question from the entire alphabet list, you have to choose one letter, just one letter.
Mhm.
And if I give you three clues to that letter,
Okay.
okay, and just choose one letter within 1 second,
Okay.
okay, the letter must fly, the letter must sing, and the letter must sting. What letter am I talking about?
Fly, sing, and sting. Not.
Can I sing?
I'm not getting. So can you repeat it, sir?
You have to choose one letter
Mhm.
And the clues for that are the letter must fly, the letter must sing, and that letter must sting.
Sting and sting. K? I'm not sure. Sir. Is it K?
Will K sting you? Can K fly? Can K sing?
I'm sorry, sir. What is the letter, sir?
Letter B.
Okay, sorry.
Heuristics, you said, right?
I got it now.
Okay. We talked about the India's performance in the World Cup, performance ongoing World Cup. Maybe now that the men's World Cup we had a little while ago, what was India's performance in that World Cup?
You mean the Test World Cup?
No, I'm talking about the ICC
Yes, sir.
T20 World Cup.
So I think India could go through the semis, but the system of qualification had changed. So instead of group system, we had this IPL type of system. So I think India lost a match against New Zealand, I believe. I'm not sure.
Did we get go into the semi-finals?
I'm unable to recall it.
We lost the first match, or did we win the first match?
We consecutively won. So the T20 we couldn't. I'm talking about the ODIs. I got confused. The T20 we couldn't go to the semis.
Okay. Tell me, what is your take on the uniform civil code?
So the DPSP's Article 1, Article 44 talks about government striving to establish uniform civil code. And accordingly, I think recently Uttarakhand government has also proposed bringing uniform civil code. So uniform civil code is a good move because it brings uniformity in civil laws. However, I think any form of uniform civil code should have a consensus. I think before bringing any form of uniform civil code, I think there is a need for reforms in personal laws, because that only when each personal law is reformed, that is when I think uniform civil code will have consensus and each religion would agree to bring in changes. I think as the law commission also recommended, I think reforming personal laws would be a first step in bringing uniform civil code.
Apart from the law commission, was the mention of a uniform civil code made anywhere else also? In our constitution?
Article 44.
Is a mention of the uniform civil code
Yes,
there? Okay, one last question.
Okay, sir.
We have just gone through the epidemic of COVID-19, right? Rather, we are still in the throes of it. What were, if I were to ask you, 3 lessons that we have learned from this massive epidemic?
Okay, sir. So I think these lessons I would categorize as personal lessons, societal lessons. So I think on a personal level, I myself had got infected by COVID, and that is when I kind of this phase was like a pause to reflect on myself, my own life. I think it also helped me become a better person, because I think we always get busy in our lives and we see we don't think of our lives in a better in a larger picture. I think it helped me to become reflect on myself. And at societal level, I think there was a behavioral change. Everybody started taking hygiene and sanitation as a serious thing, something that we always ignored in the past. And in the West, I read this in newspaper. In the West, there is a phenomena called Great Resignation. So Great Resignation. So people actually stopped joining the workforce, and they started taking up different activities, something that they can focus on themselves. I think this at the societal level has become a big difference, and I think it also has helped us to move beyond economic approach and also think about a holistic life, because we always think development or growth merely in economic terms. I think the pandemic was in a way has taught us that mere economic development is not enough. There's a need for socio-economic development where health is also taken care of. I think.
Do you think, in all fairness, was COVID-19 situation handled well in India or not?
So I think efforts were made, but certainly there were discrepancies, because this was an unprecedented event which no one ever anticipated. I think this could have done better. So in the hindsight, we can say that this could have been handled better way. Surely there were some lacunae, but however, I think efforts were made. Everybody tried. There some things which we never anticipated, we were never prepared for. So I think this becomes a very big lesson for us in the future, so that any pandemic comes in, we are in a better situation, be it infrastructure wise or. I think that's it.
Okay, just one last question again, please.
No problem.
Okay, are you fond of eggs or no?
So
Are you a non-veg or a vegetarian?
vegetarian, sir.
You don't take eggs also.
No, sir.
Okay, supposing you were taking eggs,
Okay, sir.
just hypothetically, and you have a pet peacock, it lays an egg one day. What will you do with the egg?
I would want the egg to become a peacock or a hen, whatever.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Peacock.
I'm
lays a
sorry.
gray egg.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Sagar. Ambica,
My bad.
your name starts with L.
Yes, sir.
What does L stand for?
My father's name, sir. Lalit Kumar.
And your postal address mentions Ambica.
Yes, sir.
Can you give me a brief history of Ambica?
So Ambica was initially, so if I go a little back in history, it was under Vijayanagara kingdom. So later, when the state of Andhra Pradesh was yet to form, before 1953, it was actually part of the district of Ballari, which is currently now part of Karnataka. So when in 1953, when Andhra state was formed, the Emiganur was joined in Kurnool district. So it is currently part of Kurnool district. And even the name Emiganur has the etymology actually has origins in Kannada. So I think my teacher has told me like this, that Emiganur is actually a famous market, a bull market. So cattle market actually. So Emmiga in Kannada is actually a buffalo. So Emmiganur, the place where a bull market exists.
Do you think that in India, as far as religious patterns are concerned, Supreme Court is taking very selective view? At some places it interferes with the religion, at some places it does not. Do you think that? And what are the reasons?
So I think Indian approach to religion itself has been very, as we say, our idea of secularism itself is a principal distance model, where you interfere only when. So our interference or the state's intervention. So I see judiciary is also part of state. So state interference in religion is not equal or equidistant. So I think the judiciary's approach towards religion is also when it decides essentiality and non-essentiality of religion. I think this boundary line becomes important in judicial intervention. The Shirur Math case has given the doctrine of essentiality.
How it decides essential?
So there is no single definition of what becomes essential or non-essential. So it is a case-to-case basis approach.
Have some objective criteria of what is essential and what is not.
I think we should attempt for one for sure, because it is a complicated task. But I think by attempting to define what essential is, I think we can remove the arbitrariness in it.
Recently, there was a news item. It said that Kurnool Circle Inspector paid with 15 lakh cash. Have you heard from
No, sir.
Circle Inspector in Kurnool district flee away with 15 lakh of cash?
Sorry, sir.
That became big news.
I'm not aware of it.
You're not aware of it. Imagine you are the superior of that officer, and that officer flees away with cash. What would be your take? What would you do?
Firstly, I think as a superior, I would surely try to find him. My immediate action would be to trace him and find him, and inquire on what has actually gone wrong. And if he's guilty, then for sure I'll make sure. I think I'll using the technology, or probably because we have technology, I think I'll try to trace him through technology. Maybe his last mobile contact number.
In India, trace mobile. Does police require warrant? Without a warrant, they can trace it.
I have no idea.
CSIR was a lawman.
Yes, sir.
Do you think that you UN has failed to perform its role properly in this Ukraine crisis, and it should be abolished altogether.
So I think seeing the current situation, I think UN has not performed up to the mark, and UN as an institution was required to establish peace and stability and ensure that wars and aggressive acts don't take place. I think in that way, UN has certainly not performed, and it has become captive of the super great power rivalry. So I think UN has issues, but I think abolishing for UN for this reason would be like throwing a baby with the bathwater. I think UN calls for a reform, and there's a need for a better institutions that can actually bring parties accountable.
What do you prefer, radical reforms or gradual?
I think gradual reforms would be a better way.
Don't you think at some places radical reforms are also required?
So the problem with the radical reforms is people take time to adjust, and radical reforms always
Let
come.
me give you an instance. Suppose you are moving to Rajasthan.
Mhm.
You are aware that Rajasthan is facing an issue of child marriage. You want to reform the society. Now you are advocating gradual reform and not radical. Even if you see somewhere a child is getting married to someone, you just advise them and you will wait for them to respond to that. You won't force them to change. Am I getting?
No, sir. My idea of radical reform is not this. For sure, we have institutions. Legally, we are trying to address child marriages. But I think the true change on the ground can only come when we go for gradual reforms. So I think in the case that you have defined above, I think there is a need for legalistic as well as persuasive tactic. So I think here gradual and radical reform.
Legally, we impose severe punishment for child marriage. Don't you think radical reform should be there? And child marriages will be completely, we can stop it from happening ever.
So when we, I think if we do that, maybe on paper child marriages won't happen, but I think this will only happen illegally.
What are the social reasons behind child marriages in Rajasthan?
Okay, so I think one is the dowry system, and I think low female literacy, because Rajasthan
Dowry
has.
has to be paid for both child bride as well as for married bride.
I think
How dowry could be a reason for child
I think often women are seen as a liability and not as an asset in the society.
that would be a problem. Anything else?
And I think because female literacy is lowest in the country, Rajasthan has the lowest female literacy. I think when women don't study, women are not sent to the schools. Parents often think of getting their children, their girls get married as soon as possible. I think if women study, the age of marriage automatically rises.
Are you in favor of increasing the age of marriage of women to 21?
So I think the intention behind the move is good, because it really wants to bring gender equality, because often men are married at 20. The age of men to get married is 21, but women is 18. This shows that we have a different way of understanding gender. However, I think this alone would not be a solution. And there's also a problem with the age of making it 21 is because the definition of adult is 18. When we say a person is adult is 18, and as an adult a person has a choice to decide whom to marry and when to marry. So when we are imposing 21, that becomes an issue. So I think if the intention of rising the age of 21 is to ensure that women get more educated and they get more opportunities. This can only happen when we also provide them with better opportunities and greater access to schools and colleges.
You studied at Osmania University.
Actually, I studied in a college which is affiliated to Osmania.
What is the motto of Osmania University?
The logo has Tamasum. I'm not sure of the motto.
What is the similarity between Indian culture and Afghan culture? Have you noticed it? Any
Similar.
similarity?
Not really. So, if I have to say, Afghan culture is not a unified culture. There are a mixture with. You have Pashtun culture, you have Hazara culture there. So different multiple cultures. Similarly, India is also a mixture of cultures. So there's diversity in Afghan society as well as Indian society. And there's a connect in Bollywood also. I think I had a classmate from Afghanistan who would say the Indian dramas and Indian movies are actually really popular in Afghanistan.
Why do you want to join civil service?
So this has always been my dream. I think it started in childhood when my introduction to this was obviously popular culture. But the more I got to know about the service and the more I got to know about the duties and the responsibilities that the service has, I think my interest in it has increased.
What kind of duties do you fulfill after finding services? Which interests you?
So I would work on education and socio-economic development of society, and also upholding the constitutional values.
You are fond of TV series and movies, as
Yes.
you've mentioned. Do you think that web series should be regulated scientifically?
I think they have to be regulated. So the reason is web series today have permeated across this society, and they have a greater impact, just like how TV series have. I think so. Web series have to be brought on par with TV series because TV series are regulated. I think web series they have an autonomous body of themselves. I think the TVs have yes self-regulated.
You are proposing self-regulation for web series.
I think the first step would be them having an internal accountability mechanism, and if they fail, I think there has to be a better mechanism on the upper near the government.
For TV series as well.
I think so.
Or only for web series?
I think they both should be on equal par if their impact is equal. Or
What is the current legal framework for web series?
so
Is there any?
recently, I think government has brought in the rules under IT Act, digital media rules.
Can you elaborate on that?
I'm not sure of the name. I mean the name, but I think they have requested for a compliance officer at the media platforms, and there's a three-tier mechanism for regulation where they have one is at the level of internal mechanism where they are responsible for their regulation, and then IB ministry, I think it regulates the digital media.
What is the difference between myth, fiction, and science?
Myth, fiction, and science.
Give me examples.
Okay, so fiction is something that is imaginary that you create. That's a product of your creativity. That can be either inspired by real facts or it can be completely different, disassociated with reality. Myth is sometimes truth that is mythified. I mean, there's an element of exaggeration in it, as per my understanding. And science is something which is experiment based, which can be proved, which has a clear causal linkages. So I think when you say something is scientific, it has it can be proved. I think there is a scope of proving it.
Mahabharata is myth, fiction.
Mahabharata is a myth, mythology as it is called.
Can you tell me the difference between Nritya and Natya?
I
Specifically Nritya and Nritya.
so unable to recall right now.
This is more of
Cultural committee, but
coordinate.
yes. Right now I'm unable to recall.
As I can see, you don't like Andhra Pradesh. Why?
So it's not that I don't like Andhra Pradesh.
If it is not, then why you have allotted it a big zero?
So that is how because whenever I wanted to become an IAS officer, my idea was always to not serve in the home cadre, rather get out of my comfort zone, because home cadre always becomes your comfort zone.
You are, not wrong. Your mother tongue is Marwari.
Yes, sir.
You are from Rajasthan. Right?
Mm,
You are from Rajasthan.
My ancestors, my great grandfather had come.
You can say that your parents were based in Rajasthan. Your great grandfather was based in Rajasthan.
Yes, sir.
If you are not fond of your home cadre, then why you have prioritized Rajasthan? Or at least you have given the first place in order of preference in zone 4. And in case of Andhra Pradesh, you have allotted a big zero.
So
If you compare both of them, Andhra Pradesh and Rajasthan, you have prioritized Rajasthan over Andhra.
So actually, while filling the draft, when you don't choose home cadre, it automatically becomes zero. So that's otherwise I would have choose. I have nothing against Andhra Pradesh. I think I'm more fond of Andhra Pradesh than. I think that's my home state that has shaped what I am today. It's just that I always, as an all India service, I always wanted to serve. And I did not want to have a regional bias, so that is why I wanted to get out of my home cadre. As it is an all India service, I think I wanted an all India experience. Nothing against Andhra Pradesh.
One last question from my side.
Yes, sir.
You have prioritized Indian foreign services over Indian police.
Yes, sir.
What is the justification for that?
So I think I have a master's degree in international relations, and that makes me more suitable for IFS than IPS. I have a little background in international relations. I think that will help me to be a good diplomat or a foreign servant, a foreign service officer than
Why not the first one?
So I think between IFS and IAS, I always liked, or I think I would be more suitable as an administrative officer. So that is why IFS at second place and IAS at first place.
Ambica,
Yes, sir.
you have also mentioned one of your hobbies is journaling.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me what is the golden rule of journalism?
So this is journaling is
Forget about this. Just tell me what is the golden rule of journalism. Do you have any idea?
I can
Golden rule
take.
of journalism.
I'm not really sure of it.
Suppose you have to make one.
Okay.
What it is?
I think honesty and integrity,
Honesty and integrity.
because a reporter should not have a biases when he or she reports.
Now, you have given a very high preference to the Indian foreign services.
At second place.
A very high preference, like the list of 20 odd services nearly approximately, and it is placed at the second position in foreign services. Ambica, imagine that you have made it into the Indian foreign services and you are now representing India in, say, China, and there is a talk show which is being conducted in which you are one of the guests. And in that talk show, there is a person who is representing Tibet, and he opens up into an open diatribe against the Chinese establishment. The talk show ends, and now the Chinese authorities are furious. They demand an apology from the government of India because you attended that talk show. The government of India writes to you that you are in full authority to take the best measure that you can think of at this moment. What will be your answer? Will you apologize to the Chinese establishment?
Sir, one clarification: is this talk show hosted by India, or I'm just a
No, it is
participant?
just like some TV channel or a radio show or something like that, right? You were one of the invitees. You had no idea what is about to be spoken by other panelists. But suppose someone has spoken bad about the Chinese establishment,
Right.
but you were introduced in the talk show as India's official representative because of your office that you're occupying. Now the Chinese government is asking you to apologize, rather India to apologize, because
Right.
you have attended. The Indian government has passed the ball in your court. It says that do what you deem fit. Suppose you have to write a written reply, or you have to give a written reply rather, what that letter would be. Just write one paragraph.
So
You can speak.
So before writing an apology or any sort of clarification, I think I would make my stand clear right at
Just
the
give a
talk show.
reply. I'm not saying it should be apologetic or something like that. Suppose this is the charge that has been leveled. Now you have to reply.
Okay.
Give a one paragraph reply.
Okay. Sir, should I answer? I would.
Yeah.
So I think I believe there is no question of apology as such, because India did not host the talk firstly, and India did not talk anything against China as such. We have always respected China's interests when it comes to Tibet, and I as a representative of government would try to make the stand more clearer and make sure that whatever has been said by the Tibetan representative is not that something India identifies with. I would rather clarify my stand rather than giving an apology. Apology for not doing something wrong would be would not be fair on the part of India. I think my attempt would be to in the anything that I would write and that would be more of a clarification that India respects China's position on the Tibet or the policy that India has traditionally followed.
Suppose you have to write just one line.
Mm-hmm.
Write the official line. Speak as if you're writing. Go on.
Okay.
One line.
One line
One line
means
reply
okay.
to this allegation.
India regrets that China felt that India supports Tibetan. I'm going beyond the line actually. I think India regrets that China misunderstood our participation. India makes it stand clearer that today India's position has not changed and India respects China's sovereignty and its policy towards Tibet, one China policy.
Thank you, Ambica. Your is so let the good things first.
Okay.
Your communication skill is good. Your personality is very vibrant. You are still very young. This is your second attempt.
Yes.
You're postgraduate, and you have a very good command over your hobby section. All these things. So there you have answered very well. Also, when I asked you the question relating to Women's World Cup, what happened to India's chances and all, you were very up to date on that. Even you mentioned the no ball, which costed us the match. So in that area, you performed really well. But Ambica, this is a critical analysis team.
Okay.
So we must also understand where we lag so that we can improve our chances, right? So the first thing, Ambica, which was not at all up to the mark, was the degree of formal interaction. You appeared to be very informal at times, and that was also reflected in your language. You used the word on several occasions.
Yes.
Once sir asked you a question with respect to, I think, with respect to word, where he was talking about colors and combinations of it. And last he said gray. So as he was about to ask his questions and sir was about to end his questions, in that period, interregnum, you used the word hagre.
Yes.
Hagre. Do you understand that?
Get
So that is very informal. Your eye contact. Like when I asked you the question, you kept on moving your eyes between me and him. You neglected him altogether. And he started asking the question. You altogether neglected him. Or for majority of your answer, you were not looking at the third person, or the person who was sitting far from where you were physically focused. Ambica, the right way of eye contact is when somebody asks you the question, you must look into that person's eyes. And you should not gaze, rather, you should have a decent look, right? And when you are about to answer, before you answer, you should slightly lower your gaze. It gives an impression as if you're processing the question, you're talking after you have some thought behind that topic, right? And then while you are speaking, you should primarily look at the person who has asked you the question, and in between you should steal some soft glances so that others do not feel left out.
Right.
Also, you were sitting slightly inclined on one side. You understand that? Just look at the distance of your right hand from the right armrest, left hand from the left armrest. You understand that, dear? So as you sit, your spinal cord should touch the back of the seat so that you remain very energetic and you look very attentive. Otherwise, there is a kind of we can say laziness after some time in the interview because your body would definitely respond, right, to any kind of pressure. Then you were constantly playing with the mic. Your fingers were rolling all over the mind. Remember, dear, this is not a test of your knowledge. Knowledge has already been tested in pre and mains. This is a test of your personality. Understand that? And so that's why I would suggest that you keep the mic here and then keep your hands like this, not like this, otherwise you will keep on playing with your fingers. Or like this, whatever makes you comfortable, or like this, whatever, but keep them in one place and do not move them. At times, you swayed your hands and the swaying was very exaggerated. So much so that you moved your hands even beyond the armrests. Should never go beyond the arms. Otherwise, it gives an impression as if you are trying to talk in a very informal way, or you're talking among friends and all. Right? So that's one thing. And listen to the question very carefully. At times, the question was not complete, but you started answering. At least you said the word sir, and then you kept quiet. Understand that, dear? Then I asked you a question about Harmanpreet Kaur. Is she a batsman?
She did score a century here.
What about Smriti Mandhana? Are they batsmen?
I think
Are they men?
I got the point.
Do you understand that?
Bad
Yeah.
person. Not
So it doesn't matter that who is batsman or who is bowler. I least care about it. I care about how much is your attention
right.
when you're listening. Otherwise, you will pick any social media words. And that
I
is what
got
the impression would come across the table. Do you
Right,
understand that, dear? So listen to the question very carefully. Then once you said, when the question was asked regarding what was the men's performance in the World Cup, we started talking about the 50 over World Cup. We did not
ODI.
ask for clarification. If you have not understood the question, please ask the member. Sir, can you please elaborate? I have not understood the question properly. They would be more than willing to do that. But an answer which you give by not hearing the question properly will not put you in a very good state in the interview. Do you get that, dear?
Yes.
Also, when he said that it is the T20 World Cup, or rather you yourself rectified it, and then you said this word, my bag.
That's not.
It is not at all formal. Do you get that, dear? You should not use. I apologize. It would be a formal way of interacting. Then, asked a question about something I don't remember the context yet now, but you brought in Iran.
Democracy.
Guided democracy. Guided democracy. Although you defined guided democracy more or less appropriately, it was an intelligent guess. But then you said it is Ayatollah, it is not a democracy, it is prime minister, parliamentary form of democracy, then presidential form of democracy.
I was
It
really
is not
confused.
republic. See, if you're not sure, do not give answers which create more breeding grounds for questions.
Right.
Do you understand that? It is not necessary that you would know everything under the sun. Only thing is, how do you behave when you do not know something? That is what is being tested. Say that, sir, right now I'm not able to recall what it is. And do not say this very often that I'm failing to recall, I'm not able to recall. It gives an impression as if you have read everything. You're not able to recall. Rather, you say, I'm not aware. I would definitely read.
Right.
So it says that you're not aware, you're willing to.
Right.
So it shows a good part of your personality, right? Otherwise, Ambica, when it came to some of the questions regarding your prizes, medals, Andhra Pradesh, why it has been accorded as a zero figure, then your hobby section and all of it, they were handled absolutely well. They were handled very well, barring one, where I have asked you that first position in spur of the moment extempore and heuristics. What I gave you a topic, right? Social network. You first started talking about social media. Then you rectified, you did a course correction somewhere in. So, what is social networking? So, if you are not clear with the topic, ask for a clarification.
Right.
Do you understand that? Never start without asking for a clarification. That's why you do this drafting and noting. This noting section is given in the central government files for what? For asking clarifications. You understand that? Or for expressing opinions. So you have to be aware about that. So see, Amina, you have to maintain an attitude of learning all the time. Then only you can improve. You should understand that this entire exercise is being conducted to help you. Right? These things could have happened on the D-Day, and that could have costed you dear. But it is your good fortune that you are not aware about some of your mistakes. Better? That's my feedback. Otherwise, you are a brilliant candidate, very young, female candidate, and UPSC encourages the participation of women in administration, and you have a very rich background. You have so many hobbies which reflects अगर जैसे हम बात भी कर रहे थे पेपर देख के सिलेक्शन होता तो आप रैंक वन. Do you understand that? So you have to work on these areas.
Sure, sir. I will take it.
Ambica, well dressed.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, but to be very frank with you, I would rather prefer to wear a little lighter, milder colors.
Yes, this is not the one I'm wearing on the final day.
So that adds to the to your whole. You look much better. You look much more confident that way.
Right.
Your hair, I think, is disheveled.
It's when I was traveling,
Okay.
it came
So
to
make
the
sure that that is an issue that you keep in mind. Your eye contact has been rightly pointed out, but I felt your eye contact was it showed me as if you were nervous and apprehensive. Your eye movements were very abrupt. Your eye movements should actually be very smooth and flowing. It should not be abrupt. Tuck, 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 tuck. ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए. That's not the way it should actually be, right? So, and look at all the panelists. There are 8 people sitting there. You have to share and steal a glance with all of them. As many number of panelists there may be. It's not that the person who's in the corner he's neglected completely, but primarily the focus will be on the person who's asking the questions. Now you are carrying a kerchief in your hand all through. Don't carry anything with you at all. Your hand should be absolutely empty. In this case, you had a mic, all right, but apart from the mic, you also had a kerchief in your hand. Don't carry anything with your hand and keep your hands tight so that they're not moving around. Extensive hand movements and extensive head movements also along with it. The Leo people are supposed to be dramatic, very passionate, very vivacious people. But sure, here you have to temper down a little bit. So that was, I think, you don't have to be so dramatic and intimidating. It gives a feeling of being too impersonal, very informal. And watch, you shouldn't be wearing a watch, right? On the final day, don't wear the watch.
Okay, which that's not allowed.
Yes. You are sitting on the edge of the seat that's been pointed out, and too much of I think.
I'll work on it.
So these mannerisms can sometimes cost. And you, in a couple of instances, you start answering, but then later on you corrected and said, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. If you're not sure, that happened because you jumped to start answering. Whenever a question is asked, you wait for a second, give maybe a small pause, and then answer. Within that small fraction of a second, you'll be able to collate your thoughts and then answer. So it should happen that you start answering immediately, and then you lose the track and say, I'm sorry, I'm not sure. It gives a very bad impression, right? You have a lovely smile, but it kept disappearing in between, and that is where your apprehension show, right? So keep your smile all through, except in places where it doesn't deserve a smile. It should happen that you keep smiling throughout. You're asked a question about famine in Ethiopia and you start smiling there also. That should happen that way.
Right.
What actually I was surprised was 14th August when I asked you. You were not sure about what the day's name. 14th of August, you said partition. It is called as Partition Horrors Remembrance Day.
I was unable to recall it.
Yes, so that you must know, and I can assure you that is a question that is definitely bound to be asked.
I'll work on
Right, so you must remember that. And overall, good attempt, and in any case, as pointed out, very good chance. Right?
Thank you.
Keep these things in mind because whatever we have pointed out are for your
Yes.
benefit.
Sure, sir. I'll
Keep
take
in
it.
mind that these things have to be avoided. Your performance is bound to jump by about 20 to 25 points marks if you keep these in mind.
Sure, sir.
Minimum.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Sagar.
Ambica,
Yes.
points first. Your dressing was very good. As
Yes.
sir has mentioned, we have had fine colors. Smile was good. The answer which we liked most was creativity answer. Quite good creativity knowledge. Answer for COVID question was also good. Some highlights, negative. What I felt from the interview was that there was some kind of anxiety with you, or you are inherently hyperactive. Do not wait for the question to finish and start answering. And initially, when you came, you were breathing heavy. Because maybe because you came from stairs or something like that. It all shows that you are nervous. Anything combined together, it shows your nervousness. Work on that. You start answering a question exactly what it was, and then suddenly stops and say, for its random words. See, an intelligent person is the one who knows what she knows and who also knows what she doesn't. What I got from your interview was that जब आप आंसर देना शुरू करते हैं, then you realize that you do not know this question. So take a pause and process the question in the mind, and then make a choice whether you know or you don't, and then answer. Throughout the interview, casualness was visible, informality. Try to make it more and more fun. Practice. At one instance, you answered like, "Can I take an intelligent guess?" You wanted to say, "Can I take a guess?" But you didn't say that properly. Can I take a guess? Behave like, "Can I take?"
Okay, I need to
You have
complete.
to speak clearly what you want to say.
Right.
Applying your options now, right? What you want to convey, that has to be crystal clear.
Right.
Okay. In one question, when sir asked you what lessons we draw from the COVID pandemic, you started answering on your personal level. And personally, sir, I learned this lesson. Sir specifically mentioned what lesson we draw, we as a nation. So I was expecting that you start with the lessons from the nation point of view, economic lessons, political lessons.
Right.
So focus on the question. Radical reforms answer was not that satisfactory. I was expecting. Otherwise, your performance was good, Ambica.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, and you have bright chance.
Thank you, sir.
Ambica, regarding one question first, I think it was related to Yemigan.
Yes, sir.
The answer was brilliant. The answer was brilliant because you explained the stuff very well. But one question related to Mahabharata, the answer was not very good because the question was it myth or is it myth or fiction? A brilliant answer would be it's an epic.
Right.
Do you understand that? Don't fall into that.
Right. I'll take it.
Do you get it? If I have to say that there are two large points that you should carry away from this, one is work on the formal way of speaking.
Right.
First. Second, listen to the question properly before you start answering. If you can just work on these two areas, whatever is being awarded today to you, add 30 to 35 more to that. At least, even beyond that. And Amrita, you know that it is your rank that will determine whether you will get your preferred choice of service or not. And for that rank, interview scores matter.
Yes.
Mains can get you to the list, but it's not sufficient to give you the highest. For that, you need brilliant scores in the personality test. And as UPSC rightly calls it, personality test. It is not an interview. We are not exchanging views here. Rather, we are trying to understand what kind of a person are you. The whole idea is to ascertain whether you can be trained on this. You
Right.
get that? And whether you will be an asset in the bureaucracy or you will be a headache in it. You get it?
Yes, sir.
So if you speak slowly, clearly, loudly, thinking and knowing of what you are saying, and you're confident at the same time, then the entire responsibility of the district can be put on your shoulders. You get that? Just think objectively. If you are the recruiter, then what qualities are you looking for? Don't you prefer these qualities
Yes.
over informality and lack of ability to understand the question, speaking without thinking? Otherwise, as I said, and as everybody pointed out, brilliant. This staff is brilliant because all the areas are covered very well. And I was just discussing this with the other team members that you are a great example of cultural synthesis. You're coming from Rajasthan,
Yes.
born and brought up in Andhra Pradesh, and now willing to work outside Andhra Pradesh. और क्या चाहिए? यही तो चाहिए हमको. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
तो बहुत बढ़िया करोगे आप if you work on these.
I'll surely work on that.
Okay. When is your interview schedule?
11th April, sir.
So you have time, right? Just work on these.
Surely, sir.
बाकी सब ठीक हो जाएगा. जब आप बैठ के stand for a minute, and now try to sit.
Okay.
As you sit, sit properly by looking where you are sitting. Center.
I think I
You
sat.
started leaning over on one side. So if I start talking like this,
I know, I.
do you understand?
Yes.
It create a very bad impression on the person.
Right, sir. Right.
On the other side. Otherwise, based on this performance, even after so many, you can say, accumulates, still the board has awarded you 150 to 155 to be anywhere in that range, right? Just add 35 to it, becomes 180. Sure.
I'll work on all
Unless
this.
you have done some disaster in mains written examination, which I don't think you have done because you have studied political science throughout your life. So you must have done very well in political science. Otherwise, also it seems that you've done very good. How would you write your essay and ethics?
They went
They
fine,
were
sir.
fine, right? So just 5 marks.
Surely, sir.
You
I
may
will.
end up with these marks. You may end up in the INS. You have to again get the exam. Just study like this, right? Work on it.
Sure, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All the very best.
Thank you so much, sir.